Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Welcome, folks. How is everybody doing? I trust everybody's doing just fine. Welcome aboard. In the house today is El Señor Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Texas. In the house today is Bridge MCP from where? Oh, that's right. Binghamton, New York. Paul Fleming is in from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have Lee Grant from Montgomery County, and in the house as well as Michael Rutnan from Brooklyn, New York. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. And let's see if I missed anybody. I don't think I missed anybody thus far. Anybody coming, just throw your name into the bottom of just throw your name in the chat. I'll read you out, whether you are on any one of the chats, that is. All right. Lee Grant says, leftists have always considered Dick Cheney a war criminal. Yes. And we still consider him a war criminal. That is why, anytime he endorsed somebody like Kamala, it shows you how bad Donald Trump really is. And since I have it for you on tape, I'll play that in a minute. But let me bring everybody in first of all. We have Michael Rudin says he's listening, but it's a busy day. Michael, I hope you find some peace over the weekend, so it's not that you get a little bit of rest this weekend. This weekend we're not having Ask Egberto anything because I will be busy doing, it's my anniversary weekend. 37 years. Anyhow, folks, as it turns out, though, we'll try to have it next week. So forgive me. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we got here. Thank you, Eric, as well. Well, here's the deal. Thank you, Bridge. I think we are hitting an impasse. There is the guy that has predicted all the elections correctly since 1982. He finally came out with his break hard prediction, and he said that Kamala Harris is going to win the election based on all the criterias in his formula. So it seems to be coalescing. The only question in my mind is whether if my theorization comes out to what I expected it to be. And that is that it is actually going to be a landslide. Everybody talking about a close election. I am still seeing the dominoes getting ready to just fall. If you remember, a lot of you are too young to remember the Carter-Reagan race, when things just seemed to collapse for Carter. I think that's what's going to happen for Donald Trump, because people are finally going to wake up and see how terrible a person he is, how incompetent a person he is, how a fraud he is. I keep, whenever we talk about privilege, and some people of particular gender and hue having a special kind of privilege, Donald Trump is the instantiation of that. No woman in America, black, white, Latina, Asian, or whatever, and notice I'm racializing it to some extent here, would have gotten away with what Donald Trump has. No person of color, no man of color would have gotten away with what Donald Trump has gotten away with. And anybody who talks about there not being that privilege, do you think Obama could have had 3 baby mamas, talk about grabbing onto women, and still become president of the United States? Do you really believe that? Or do you think he would ever have been taken seriously as MAGA folks take Donald Trump, even for the moral, despicable person that he is and has always been? I don't think so. So no one can talk about there not being a special privilege for guys like Donald Trump. Nobody can say that. Paul Fleming says, O'Donnell, New York's stupidest rich people clapped for Trump, said childcare is childcare. I saw that. I saw when he said it. Ridiculous, ain't it? So again, yes. Gene Geigel, welcome to Gene Deigel, welcome to Politics Done Right. He says, I've never heard since Reagan in 1984 where people in the opposite party, particularly leaders of that other party, endorsed the opposite party's candidate or made in public they will not their own. This is special. There is something here. The people are, the collapse is beginning. I wouldn't be surprised if the next one to come out would be Bush. And then others coming out and saying, you know what, we just can't do it. Anyway, I like what Paul says. Let me get this straight, he says. Let me get this straight. Trump gives a totally incoherent answer on children, but Kamala isn't specific. It's called privilege. Donald Trump has the privilege, the honor, and the right to be stupid. Others don't have that privilege. They're judged on completely different metrics. Completely different metrics. Paul Fleming says, since Trump says he wants to make IVF free, maybe he should do the same with Kevlar. That's a good one, but I think bullet-piercing bullets go through Kevlar too, so we have to make it a bit more. Welcome, Maywood from Long Beach, California. Anyway, let's go ahead and play Liz Cheney, latest conversion. It may not be big news for the young generations, Gen Z, Gen Y, etc., but for the older people, a whole bunch of people who actually vote, this is big. Dick Cheney is not only not voting for Donald Trump, according to Liz Cheney, his daughter today, Dick Cheney is doing what no one would expect of Dick Cheney. And that is he's voting for a Democrat named Kamala Harris. That's huge. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Dick Cheney, your father, a beloved figure among Democrats for many, many years. Do you, if you know who he will be supporting or who he'll be voting for, do you care to share with us who he might be voting for?
Dick Cheney will be voting for Kamala Harris.
Folks, I don't think people understand how big this is for the older folks, for the older rank and file Republicans. This may be a delta that goes a far way in states like Wisconsin, in states like Pennsylvania, in states like Michigan. Again, not for the MAGA folks in the aggregate, but for the people who are still yearning for the Republican Party. But more importantly, what this could actually do is it could actually open the floodgates for the new Republican Party to start taking form. And that is what people have to see. I want a new Republican Party. I want an opposition party. I don't want us to just have progressives and, I want to have to work for people's vote. I want to have to keep my ideas fresh. I want that. I don't just want yes people. MAGA folks are enslaved to Trump's dementia. Again, MAGA folks are enslaved to Trump's dementia. The leaders of the MAGA movement, the evangelical leaders, are enslaved by Trump's awards, what he provides to them. So let's be very clear. We want a good conservative party as a backstop to all the good progressives do. We want them to challenge us. That is what we want. That is what makes sense. Paul Fleming says, starting to look like Mar-a-Lago is just one giant Russian safe house masquerading as all-you-can-eat Happy Meals buffet. And can you believe Tim Pool? Tim Pool, glory, glory, hallelujah, Tim Pool. Always getting upset because of something the progressives are doing. And it turns out Tim Pool is but a stooge for the Russians. Tim Pool is not but, several million viewers. Man, I wish I had 10% of his viewership. He misleads them. We enlighten them. But you see, how he gets, what we found out that he got $400,000, $100,000 per video or so for messing with people's minds with his videos. But my God, in the process being a traitor? Wow. I want you guys to remember what it used to look like when progressives or anyone gave any inkling that they were in the same room with even somebody that had slight contact with those on the with folks like Putin. It's amazing, isn't it? All right, Paul Fleming says the IRS said that it has recovered $1.3 billion in unpaid taxes from high-income Americans who had either failed to file their returns or who hadn't fully paid what they owed. And there's probably billions more. There are probably billions more. Tim Pool should sue me for lying about him. Actually, yeah, let Tim Pool sue me. Actually, it would increase my profile. Let Tim Pool sue me, please. Tim Pool, please do. You know why? Because there's a lot of stuff that I would like to put out there. I would love to cut a lot of Tim Pool's videos and use it as evidence, not only of the Russian issue, but of many other issues. Okay? So yeah, please do. Because what we'll be able to prove is not only about the Russian issue, but we were able to prove all the disinformation that guys like him have been putting out there to mess with your mind, Mike Cesek, to mess with your mind, Eric Hayes, to mess with your mind, my brother Grant. Right? So yes. And not only that, just think about it. I'd suddenly get a whole boost if he does that. So yeah, go ahead. Hey, Cesar, go ahead and tell him. Give him a slice of the video and tell him to come and get me. Please do. Well, considering that MSNBC and others misled people by cutting his videos saying something other than actually what he said, I've seen examples of it. Okay, Mike, so pass my stuff over to him and tell him to send it over because I can't wait to put my GoFundMe up with to get my lawyers to work with on Brother Tim Pool. I would love it. Okay, CSAC. And then we'll see who has honor. We'll see who is really the one, right? But anyhow, I want you guys to listen to Carol Joyner about family values, something that MAGA and Republican leadership only knows to talk about. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Today we're honored to have Carol Joyner, who is the Executive Director of Family Values at Work Action. Carol, welcome to Politics Done Right.
Thank you for having me, Egberto.
Well, let me tell you something. The first thing that I saw in the name of your group is CARE. At that point, you had me won over. Tell me a little bit about your organization.
CARE is the core of our work. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about care, yes, we believe in health care. We've got to have health care for everyone, right. But we're talking about another variety of care, which is care for yourself.
Right.
Paid family and medical leave. child care, paid sick and safe days, home care services, disability services, even abortion care, right? These are the issues that we ignore in our society and that every single person needs. And so our organization, Family Values at Work Action, is the C4 of a 20-year-old organization called Family Values at Work. And that organization was founded when California passed the first paid family and medical leave law in the country. Mm-hmm. You may know that the United States is one of very few countries without any kind of national standard for paid leave.
Right.
So when California passed that law, it was a big deal, and other states jumped in to try to do it.
You know, it is shameful that we call ourselves an advanced society, and you have places like the Scandinavian countries that they see the value in people. Here, interestingly, you don't find these countries talking about family values, but we speak a lot about family values. The last thing we do is value
family.
So when I saw this inside of your name, it was like, we have to start discussing this. These are progressive principles that everybody wants, and then we call ourselves a center-right country. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. So
the reality is we are not. We are very much wanting these particular values. So tell me, why is it that we don't have them, and what is it that your organization is going to do to educate folks into saying, we don't just want this, we demand this?
So, as I said earlier, California passed paid leave also 20 years ago.
Right.
And at that time, we didn't have any in the country.
Right.
Now we have passed paid family and medical leave in 14 states, including DC.
Right.
And in those states, people do not have to beg and plead to take time off to welcome a new baby, to address their family's needs if there's military deployment,
right,
to care for a sick family member, recover from your own illness, like maybe hip replacement or cancer or whatever you might be dealing with, right? They can just say to their employer, I'm taking time off.
Right.
And I need it for this reason on this date. They might have to show a doctor's note if it requires medical justification. But the money is pooled together in the social insurance fund.
Right.
It does not come from the employer.
Right.
So in California, everyone pays a teeny tax.
Right.
The cost of possibly a cup of coffee.
Right.
In other places, sometimes employers and employees pay a tax.
Right.
And that money is what funds these policies.
Right,
for paid family and medical leave. Where paid sick days is concerned, that's the shorter period of time, 3 or 4, 5, 6 days you may need to recover from a cold, to pick your child up from school or something like
for
that.
For a family emergency.
For a family emergency, exactly. Those are mandates where in 19 states, employers are required to allow you to take that time off. And we passed those laws with many other partners. Family Values at Work didn't do that by ourselves. Family Values at Work Action just came along in 2020. So we haven't been building power like that for long. However, we have been part of the care infrastructure for a very long time. And so those are the policies that we have been passing on the ground. Our goal, because we know if I listed some of the states, you would say, well, those are all blue states.
Right.
And those are easier to pass, although they're very hard, easier to pass at the legislature because you have some progressive legislators, right? What happens in red states? Well, the only thing I can say is that we have to address gerrymandering in those legislatures. We've got to create the conditions to pass these kind of family-supported policies in those states. But in Georgia, what they have done through Republicans is to at least pass paid leave for public sector workers in the state of Georgia. So they have that. But our nation, as you know, is really focused on individuality, right? What you can do for yourself as an individual, not collectively, unless we're talking about bailing out corporations.
I am so happy that, as you were saying, that we're an individualist country. I was waiting to see where you're going to go there. And the reason why is corporations have made us believe that there's something to individualism.
Exactly.
But at the same, and the only reason they do that
is so that we don't ask for or we don't demand from them. But at the same time, they're asking for individualism. They're wanting collectivism for the things that benefit them. And it's and what you are doing in educating people on no, we've earned this. It's not a matter of it's not a favor that a corporation is doing when they give family leave. To put it bluntly, I'd like to take it out of the hands of corporations. I'd like to make it that this is how we run as a society. We have paid leave whenever under the constraints that society builds around it. We have paid maternal, paternal care, how society determines it's going to be. Child care. And have businesses conform to humanity and not the other way around.
And to be honest, right now, what businesses will say in each and every one of the laws that have passed is that we're already doing this.
No.
We're already providing paid leave. And the statistics show that only 24% of private sector employers provide any level of paid leave. And oftentimes, workers have to pay in to an insurance fund in order to get access to it. And so it's not universally inside of their own organizations. And then 75% of the population is left out. And so this mentality about individuality serves corporate interests, but it hurts American families.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and you know, what we've also done in the country, and you can speak to this, is we've indoctrinated so many into believing that supporting corporate beliefs first is good for them. And that is the thing that I think organizations like yours can turn around. It's not corporations first. If they're made whole, we make it whole. That's just another form of trickle down.
Yeah.
It is really that we come first. If we are happy, we can collectively make you happy.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why I think we all have to be blessed that we have organizations like yours that are out there doing the heavy lifting and the heavy work, because I sit down and beg that we have more people doing this.
Well, last year, when Minnesota passed paid family and medical leave, they did it after trying for many, many years.
Yes.
But they only did it after they were able to flip one of their chambers. And
I remember, yes.
And they passed a suite of really progressive policies like paid family leave, paid sick days, important policies for immigrant workers, all kinds of policies. Right. And that's what happens when good people go to the polls, vote their conscience, and vote for what we really, really need in huge numbers. And we need to see that in November.
And you know, and I'm glad that you're out there doing that, because also people are just looking at the top of the ticket. I don't really give a damn about just the top of the ticket. We got to make sure that from the municipalities to the on up that we elect people that care. Elect people that care. Give me a closer.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. I'm hoping folks at Netroots, if they're watching this, will go to our booth. We have an exhibit booth here at Netroots. We're giving out amazing swag, but we're also asking people to draft cards to their members of Congress, calling for these policies, asking members of Congress to be champions. Find us at www.Fam Values Action. Join our list. Fund our work. We desperately need funding because we're helping our network partners put boots on the ground to turn out this very important vote.
Carol Joyner of Family Values at Work Action. Thank you so kindly for speaking to me.
Take good care.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I had a good time talking to her and what she does. I mean, there were so many groups out there doing some very important progressive work. In other words, work caring for people. Let's see what we got here from, I think, Breach. I saw something from Breach that I wanted to read out. Let me see if I can scroll back up. The scroll is going on me. But anyhow, Liz pointed out that Liz Cheney also not only endorsed Colin Allred, She said she's going to work to get help Colin Alred get elected, which I think is very important. That is very, very good. And a 6-point recovery from a high-end race in Texas, very possible. Very possible. All right, what else have we got here? Let's see. I'm scrolling. All right, let me go ahead and play my second video of the day. This is an old. This was at Netroots as well. But here is the deal. It happens that at this point, Kamala wasn't yet the nominee. And listen to what we had to say, both myself and Mark Thompson. Was a good little talk. Listen to this.
Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. And who do I have here? He's a friend of Politics Done Right for quite some time. Mark Thompson, how you doing, man?
Fine, brother. Good to see you, man.
Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you, brother.
You're here at Netroots Nation 2024. What are your thoughts? Politics is rather complicated. Look, whether Biden goes or not, or Kamala is up, all of that is going to resolve itself. I want to know, how are we going to follow the paths that the Republicans pretty much gave us to really take over not only Washington, but the states and the municipal governments, because it's all there for us to take if we want to.
Well, and good to be here with you, brother. And we've been coming to Netroots Nation together for a while. It's been 15 years. I think I might have been at every one.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been to, if not every one, most of them. I think you're right. We got to figure that out. But the problem is that the news cycle is not talking about these other races.
Right.
And nowadays, however, if you're in a municipal situation,
right,
if you're in a state or local race, it's hard to get coverage.
Yes.
So you got to buy airtime, and most of those races are too small to raise that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do a reorientation. We had to figure out a way to educate people on the importance of these types of races. Again, though, what's the media focused on? They're focused on the top of the ticket.
Right.
And that's become an obsession. And that's not anything we can really discount or take for granted, because we have the first black woman vice president.
Right.
If Biden drops out, Egberto, and they leapfrog over the first black woman vice president, that affects those down ballot races, because some black folk and some women are going to say, well, I'm just not going to vote.
Right.
And we have a very short window to get people to think the way you're thinking. Let's focus on these races.
Mm-hmm.
Who says that? That's unfortunate. Who really is communicating that way in the way you just articulated it? Very few people are. And that's very, very unfortunate.
You know, you mentioned something. The Democratic Party won't dare leapfrog over Kamala Harris.
I don't know.
I know everything that people are hearing. They're fearing about this, etc. That is a perfect way to have the law. So we know that, and it's not that she's the first black woman or anything like that. It's that she has earned it. And I was never a Kamala fan or a Biden fan. I'm a Berniac. I know that's who I am. But I play the role of the pragmatic role of what's best for the United States of America. It would be suicide if Biden decided to drop out for Kamala not to get it. And then all that we're talking about as far as making sure that we look at those local elections, not only state and federal, but also municipal elections, which is where a lot of these guys get their start. So I am more worried about us not conveying the message as you mentioned. But guess what, my brother? What you do, what I do, what we are doing is the next narrative. In other words, the mainstream media they're hyperventilating on those other issues, but we're reminding them that they have to vote on all these others, and that's why we are so necessary.
Yeah, no, that's very, very important. But what's happening at the national level is it's demoralizing to a lot of people.
Yes.
And it doesn't help. And the people who are carrying it out, trust me, they don't care about what we're talking about.
Right.
These are people who have their own presidential aspirations. Even though they won't come out of the closet and say, I want to do it, I'm going to challenge her or him.
Right.
They just want him to step aside so they can jump in. And none of those people has a snowball chance in hell either.
Winning. Exactly.
We are almost 90 days out. So where you gonna get the money from? They've got all the money in the bank, Biden Harris. If it's her, then the money that they have, she can spend.
Right.
Otherwise, that money just goes off into the stratosphere or into some super PAC.
Exactly.
And whoever else is in has got to come up with some money.
Exactly.
And I just don't think it's realistic. You can't mount a presidential campaign that way. And we do need, you raise a good point. We do need people, even at that level, at the federal level, at the national level, the national race, who are going to articulate the importance of all of these races.
Exactly.
Because we can win back the House, keep the Senate, and the White House, if we really wanted to.
I mean, again, Mark, the path is there. They have so royally screwed up in policy and the policies that they support. We would be committing political malpractice not to really win this stuff all the way around. Political malpractice.
Right. And it would be really embarrassing. As we look at countries around the world, throw off the right-wing agenda. France, they thought the right wing was going to win. They lost.
No, they lost.
Britain.
The clean plot.
Right. So what would we look like if we allowed that to happen here?
It would say that Professor Richard Wolff said we are a power in decline.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't be a power in decline. We would be a power in free fall. If that were to happen.
That's right.
Power in free fall. So, that is what's important. So, in closing, my brother, give me what's your best guess as to, first of all, even though I don't particularly want to talk about it, can Biden really stay on the ticket?
We're going to have to see about this press conference and some things in the days to come, how he presents himself. The debate was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I think if he stays, it's because there just really is no alternative.
Yeah.
Now, they're looking at Kamala Harris's numbers to see if she can step in. But it's not going to be easy. If it was up to me, though, you'd hand it off to Kamala.
Yeah.
And make the vice president. And just hear me out. People say, you can't do this, Mark, because it's two women. Kamala Harris, Gretchen Whitmer. If we're going to go down, let's go down in flames, man. Let's go all the way hard.
I never thought about that combination. And you know what? If we've seen two men at a time, why can't we see two women at a time?
And that's what I'm saying. People say, we never done it. But see, the issue right now, let's remember what's really going on. This is Rovember.
Yeah.
Women are going to decide this election. We'll have a role, but women are going to decide it.
Yes.
Let's go hard in the paint.
You just brought up, I never thought about that.
Just go hard. Just go all the way. All this timidity. No willy-nilly. Let's just go hard.
I like
Let's just go hard in the paint. And then somebody just said to me, if not Gretchen, Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders. What the hell? Just go hard. Yeah. Just go hard. So then you draw a distinction between the other side. You have no fear. Just go hard for the people.
I think I'm going to start thinking even further out of the box. Yes. I like that.
It's basketball, man. Feed the ball to the big man in the middle. Just go hard. Don't be messing around and doing all this.
You know why I love having these chats with Mark Thompson, my brother. Thank you so kindly for speaking to Pop.
Thank you for all the good work you're doing.
And thank you for watching.
Y'all, let me tell y'all something. I do this. I've done this all my life. It ain't easy doing what our brother's doing and being at these places on his own expense and producing and doing everything himself. One-man show. Support this man. God, support this broadcast. It's very, very important because we don't get any other alternative out here. You know what I'm saying? So please do whatever donation you give, however you spread the word, subscribe. We must support independent media because everything else is going the other way. We're losing control of everything. And AI is taking over everything. This ain't AI. I don't know how you can do a talk show with AI. How can you anticipate what somebody's going to say? So yeah, please, 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 if you don't hear anything I said today, support politics done right. Please do. I do. You should too.
My brother, that was unsolicited, and I thank you so kindly for that, man, because it is something that's needed. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work.
Right.
Keep up the good work. Proud of you, man.
Yeah, that was myself and Mark out there at Netroots Nation. Love the brother. We always you always see him on either CNN, MSNBC. Sometimes he's on with what's his name? I'm getting old. I forget. Anyway, Mike Cisak earlier was talking about Tim Pool and credibility, right? I want to remind folks, when you try to compare the folks that are doing the kind of work we do here, which is online media, in my case, both online media and over the air on radio media in the mornings. Credibility. I take my credibility seriously. In as much as I am a very progressive person, I believe progressive values is what moves the country forward. I make sure to maintain credibility, honesty, my morals, etc. And there are organizations that rate how good you are at doing that. One of them is this one. I'm sorry for the blinking screen, but media bias and credibility. How is politics done right rated? High. And what do they say about it? It says, I'm reading, overall, we rate EgbertoWillies.com left biased based on story selection and editorial positions that routinely favor a progressive perspective. We also rate them high for factual reporting due to proper sourcing and clean fact check record. In other words, there's no fact checking records that's been opened on us. Now, the God that Brother Cisak got upset at because we spoke about is Tim Cass. Why I said, okay, why don't you bring him on? How is he rated? Mixed, meaning sometimes he gets it right, sometimes he gets it wrong. And how do they define timcast.com? They defined it as follows. Overall, we rate Timcast right biased based on story selection and editorial perspectives that moderately favor the right. We also rate them mixed in reporting due to occasional use of poor sources by MBFC standards and several, not a few, several failed fact checks. So an independent source named EgbertoWillies.com, more factually accurate, and Tim Pool as less than. And we still have somebody like Eric Hayes that says, trust Tim Pool more than. As my sister would always say, meaning Bridge MCP, she has a phrase, you can't give medicine to the dead. Is that what it is you always say, Bridge? You can't give medicine to the dead or something like that you always say? And she's right. You cannot give medicine to the dead. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, thank you, Bridge. I did repeat it correctly. So, but for the audience at large, not talking about the audience that are actually mummified by Donald Trump, but I'm talking for the audience at large. There are organizations out there that rate what you do, and we maintain a good rating by design. By design. And even if we take info from CBS, ABC, MSNBC, wherever, we even fact check MSNBC. A lot of times we have to give context to something that MSNBC has said or whatever. I mean, the other day I told a story about what Donna Brazil did on ABC. Everybody looked at what Donna Brazil did and just said, oh, they're fighting over each other. I explained that Donna Brazil, what she did is she made sure the discussion stayed on track. In other words, It was a discussion about Donald Trump's ills, and she made sure it didn't get migrated as the mainstream media always does or do towards Kamala Harris, and she forced the direction of the program. They never said that in the piece. So anyhow, what my last video is, a good friend of mine, she was the leader of the coffee party as well while I was there. Good afternoon, Shakula hairstylist. Welcome aboard. Great to see you here, sis. All right, let's go ahead and play Debilyn Molineaux. Debilyn does some very, very good work.
Welcome to Politics on the Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host, and today we are honored to have Debilyn Molineaux. Debilyn Molineaux is the former president of the Coffee Party and the former president and CEO of Bridge Alliance. Welcome. How are you doing, my friend?
Egberto, so good to see you.
What's wrong with America?
So America right now, we are confused. I also think that we're suffering from some delusions. And a lot of what we, the people, are thinking about in America right now is that politics doesn't work. Democracy has not delivered on its promise to what we need. And we don't really have a hopeful vision for a future. We have a lot of stories out there about things that are ending. So anyway, ask me another question.
Let me tell you, that was full. Now you are now forming your own organization, or you have your own organization. What is it called again?
AmericanFuture.us, and it's a project.
And why did you start that project?
So I've been doing political bridge building for about 2 decades now. And one of the things that, and by political bridge building, there's the dialogue and deliberation piece, which is what most people think of these days. There's also trying to get policymakers and advocacy groups to come up with cross-partisan solutions, which is part of the Bridge Alliance, what we used to do. Bridge Alliance still does that work, but I don't. And what I was frustrated by was that people who were doing the connecting across the partisan divide were really trying to convince or persuade each other, and they weren't actually doing the hard work of deeply connecting with each other and coming up with better solutions. And part of that is because the future stories that we have out there really suck right now. And so we are having trouble as Americans imagining a future that doesn't suck.
You told me earlier about the 5-year-old, and that's where we need to go back to being.
Yeah, I think you asked me a question about what is.
Let me just tell the audience, this is our second time around on this interview because I didn't record it the first time. So I have to thank Debilyn for actually spending the time again to do the interview.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's a non-fatal error, as our friend Cheney would say. So one of the things that you were asking me, I think you asked me last time, what brought the 5-year-old metaphor up was what is it that we need to do? And I said, well, we actually need to do things that we used to do naturally when we were 5 years old. We share. If somebody's hurt, we try to comfort them, and we need to play well with others.
And you know what? 5-year-olds could do it. The adults should be able to do it as well, shouldn't they?
They should, but for some reason, in our delusion about what is right and good, we've gotten a little judgy.
Now, in the previous talk, you also gave a great thing about us trying to change other people, the religious,
Yes.
That was a good. I love the way you expressed that, and I hope you can say it again with the fluency that you said the first time.
Well, I'll give it my best shot here. So one of the things that when we look into the future, we all have a different future story of something we don't want.
Right.
So the MAGA folks have a future story of they don't want socialism, and so they're really trying hard to prevent socialism from taking over the nation. And the Netroots Nation crowd has a fear of authoritarianism, and so they're really trying hard to make sure authoritarians don't take over. And then you've got the climate change activists who are working really hard to make sure that humans can continue to exist on life. So there's an end time story there. And then you've got the really Pentecostal Christian who think that the end times are here, Armageddon's about to come, and they're going to get swept up to heaven. And so there's all of these ending stories, these end times stories that have a different flavor depending on who you are. And as a result of that, we're all trying to change each other's behavior so that we get the future that is not the bad one we don't want.
And that's where it's interesting because, like I said before, it is almost that you're saying we can direct the outcome if we just stop the fear of what we feel for others and start directing the positive of what we want.
Right. So this is where neuroscience comes in.
Right.
And what neuroscience is starting to prove right now is that we look for and create situations that reflect what we think about most. And so I want to like drill in on that just a little bit. Whatever we think about most is what we are most likely to manifest or create into our daily lives. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if we think about things that we don't want or that we're afraid of. And then it gets into this negative spiral.
I love when you talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy because, believe it or not, what that gives people is that gives people hope. Wow, you mean if I just go ahead and if it's self-fulfilling prophecies, then I can decide what the prophecy is going to be.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the undertone and the reason that I'm doing American Future, because most Americans don't actually know what they want for their own lives.
Yes.
We know what we don't want, and we spend a lot of time and energy. And we have to train our minds to actually, number one, decide what we want, and then number two, train it to think about that all the time.
Right.
And this is not some kind of new agey, secret kind of thing. It's actual neuroscience. That when we know what we want, when I know that what I want is to have a project that impacts the American public in a positive way by helping incite our imagination, I start looking for opportunities and partners where I can advance that vision.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
And so it's like when you say, I never saw an orange car before until I bought one, and then all of a sudden there's orange cars everywhere. It's the same thing.
I love that. Debilyn, how can people find your work?
So people can go to AmericanFuture.us and they can poke around. I hope that they'll take the self-interview, or even better, click on the self-interview link and then download the PDF and trade interviews with somebody else. It's 8 questions to help you know what you want for your own life. They can listen to my podcast, Terrified Nation.
I thought you were going to forget that. I was going to tell them, make sure to listen to her podcast because it is good.
And so terrifiednation.com is people sharing their American future stories, and a little bit of my opinionating or guiding people with some reflection to help get to what they want.
And look, folks, this is Debilyn Molineaux, former president of the Coffee Party USA, and former president of, former president and CEO of the Bridge Alliance. Thank you so kindly for being here at, I'm not going to say the name because since she plays it right down the middle, she's going to say, please don't. Anyway, thank you so kind.
Have a good day.
All right, you
Thanks, Egberto.
Anyhow, that's my buddy, Debilyn Molineaux. Bridge wants something special on the screen. Let's see if I can get it on a non-blink screen. And I did. Got to remember to get it off, though. But check it out. It says, when Republicans inevitably blame mental health and not the guns for yet another school shooting, kindly remind them that 205 of them voted against a bill to expand school-based mental health services. And that happened in Texas as well. After we had Uvalde, our thug-in-chief, meaning our governor-in-chief, well, actually thug-in-chief is better, more accurate, Greg Abbott, he said, oh, it's not a gun problem, it's a mental problem. And what did he do effectively? Cut mental care in Texas. So they're full of it. Their politicians are full of it. Thank you for that insightful meme, Debilyn. Debilyn. For that insightful theme, Bridge MCP. Guys, I am so tired today. I got up at 4 this morning because we had to go to take care of some business downtown. So I had to get my exercise in early. So I'm sleepy as hell. So if you see my eyes look funny, you know why. Anyway, we also have some info here from Michael McLaughlin. How you doing, Michael? He says, welcome aboard, by the way. He says, Egberto copied from an email to me. Texas Congressman Chip Roy's alarming suggestion that anyone living in Texas who is not a loyal Republican should leave is a prime example of hateful, hyper-partisan threats against our democratic values and freedom. If you're a radical progressive Democrat, don't let the door hit you on your way fully out of Texas. If you're sane and staying elsewhere in Texas, you're welcome, provided you leave that commie BS behind. Please tell us what is being done in Texas to remove the man. We should get rid of him. First of all, I don't know why Republican thinks they're more American than anybody else, or Republican Texans think they're more Texan than anybody else. And the truth of the matter is they're so much less humane. In the aggregate, the politicians that lead these states are thugs. Why do you think their states become beggar states? Because they steal, they steal, they steal, they beg, they steal, they beg, they steal, they beg. And to make sure that their constituents don't just starve to death, progressives come to the rescue. Michael McLaughlin says, Egberto, I do not understand how a bot is able to dump chat comments. I don't know. Well, I mean, AI is that is a dangerous part of AI, right? When you give it a particular bias, it is going to have the bias of the person who creates the tables for interpretation, you know. Yes, Breach, how can I help you? I see that you point my name there. Feel free to give me a call, 712, because we're done with the program and we still have a couple minutes. 281-823-7747. One more time, 281-823-7747. Oh, you have another one you want me to put on the screen? Of course I will. I will oblige because the program is actually done. And I'll put it on the non-blinking screen to tell you. It says, attention, this school protected from drag queens, dirty books, but it's full of bullet holes. Breach, where do you come up with this stuff, Breach? Breach, where do you come up with this stuff? Where do you come up with this stuff? But it's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, guys, I'm going to do my ask now, and then I'm going to shut this baby down. I'm going to lean back in my chair for about 15 minutes and take a nap before I come up and write 2 or 3 more blogs for the afternoon. So let's see, how am I going to do that? Let's go ahead and first bring this baby up. Did I not get it up? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I'll find you right now. There you go. All right. Okay, folks, please support the program. And how can you support the program? You can support the program by going to our all-encompassing support link. And that is at politicsdoneright.com/support. Politicsdoneright. Yes, I'm going to go take a little snooze. Politicsdoneright.com/support. That has all the different ways you can support our program. But I am trying to build up my Substack, Egberto Off the Record, and we need some more paid subscribers. We actually need thousands. If we get about 35 in the next couple of days, we'll cross 200. We need about 1,500. But slow growth is a good growth. So if you can, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and please consider becoming a paid supporter of our, what again? Of our newsletter. That is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.